All right, folks, I think I'm going to start just a moment early so that we have as much time with our illustrious folks that we have assembled here. Oop, I was like, where is that coming from? And now all right, folks, I think I'm going to start just I figured it out. I had an echo of YouTube in my head. But we're back and we're good. All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Angela Gunder and I'm with the OLC. I would like to thank you for joining us today and go over a few quick housekeeping items before we get started. Many of you have already started introducing yourselves in the chat, but if you haven't done so already, please let us know where you're joining from this evening, this morning for some of you perhaps. And as we move along with the awards gala, we ask that you please remain on mute while you're not speaking so that we can help limit any potential feedback in the room. You can type in any questions or comments in the chat at any point throughout the session, particularly in the panel. And if you'd like to come on mic to make a verbal comment, you can use the raise the hand icon, which can be found by clicking on the participants button along the bottom of your Zoom meeting controls. And lastly, live closed captioning is available, and you can enable this feature by clicking on the closed caption button, which can also be found within your Zoom meeting controls. A special thank you to all of our sponsors who have helped to make this event possible. We have our titanium and diamond sponsors here, our platinum sponsors, and our bronze sponsors. And without any further ado, I'd like to turn the mic over now to the CEO of the Online Learning Consortium, Jennifer Mathis, who is our session chair for this evening.
Hi, everyone, and so happy to be here with you. I am Jennifer Mathis, the CEO for the Online Learning Consortium, and I want to welcome you to the 2020 Awards Gala. I would first like to start by thanking our OLC Board of Directors for their continued support of the awards and scholarships that we are able to offer. Through their leadership, we're able to recognize the leadership expertise and innovation in online, blended, and digital learning that you see represented in the 2020 award winners that you're going to get to know tonight. I would now like to thank Desire to Learn, who is our sponsor for this evening's awards gala. Here to welcome you on behalf of D2L, our business development representatives, Uzair Khan and Louis Grease. Uzair and Louis, the mic is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jennifer. So, hey, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for being here. My name is Uzair, and alongside me, somewhere in the mix, is my colleague Louis, and we're part of the team here at D2L. Hopefully, some of you folks were able to attend our session earlier. If not, we look forward to having a chance to meet some of you at our booth or around the conference. We're really honored to be sponsoring this year's award gala and really, really excited to be part of this gathering of people who share a mutual passion, and that is learning.
Awesome. Thank you, Zaire. Hello, everyone. I'm Louis. At a time where online, blended, and digital learning is perhaps more important than ever, we're happy to be contributing and learning more about innovation and best practices in the space, and hopefully sharing a few of our own as well. Right now, we're really fortunate to all be able to come together to learn from each other and discover better ways to overcome challenges we're facing and to continue to create inspired learning experiences for students everywhere. Again, super happy to be here tonight, and I hope everyone enjoys the night.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you both. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Mary Nemec, who is the board president for the Online Learning Consortium, who's going to talk to you a little bit about a very distinguished award that OLC gives out each year. So, Mary?
Well, good evening, everybody. I hope those of you who are actually in Orlando are staying nice and dry. The rest of us are experiencing some really kind of nice weather right now, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that Ada leaves your area quickly. So the OLC Awards Gala marks a night when we come together for the recognition of exceptionalism, as we celebrate the achievements, elevate the innovations, and honor the commitments of this year's OLC Fellows and award recipients. With 9 distinct awards to distribute, we're privileged to have these leaders join us on the virtual stage as we thank them for their dedication to quality online digital and blended learning. So each year, the OLC Board of Directors recognizes a few key individuals as OLC Fellows for exceptional contributions in the field of online and digital learning. And as you can see in the slide in front of me here, there are certain criteria for the recognition as a fellow. It's, unusual professional distinction. It's outstanding, extraordinary qualifications in the field, significant experience in online, and contributions or leaderships across everything that we do. The nominees for fellows are just that. They're recommended by their peers at a very rigorous nomination process. So this year, it's my pleasure on behalf of the Board of Directors to recognize two individuals that stood out and have been chosen to receive this distinguished award. The first fellow that I'm going to introduce is Jason Ruckert. Jason is Vice President of Enrollment Management at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. He is accountable for the development and delivery and quality control of all online courses utilized by 24,000 students. In his 15 years at Embry-Riddle, he's made a significant impact on the university and is now recognized as a global leader in online and technology-enhanced education. Congratulations, Jason. Our second fellow is Kelvin Thompson, Executive Director for the Center of Distributed Learning at the University of Central Florida. Kelvin has over 22 years experience in online and blended learning as an instructional designer, administrator, and consultant in higher ed. He was a pioneer at UCF as one of the university's first instructional designers to support the new online learning modality in 1998, and has become a national leader with a focus on inclusivity and collaboration in online and blended learning. Congratulations, Kelvin. Please join me in congratulating our class of 2020 OLC Fellows, Jason and Kelvin. Jennifer, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mary, and congratulations to Jason and Kelvin. So as we go through the program towards the end, you are definitely going to be hearing more from all of our award winners who are here tonight. Angela Gunder has something special planned for the post naming of the winners section of this presentation tonight. So now I want to move on and talk about some of our other winners. First of all, we have a scholarship that we give out each year that is in honor of Bruce and Shalou. And this scholarship is all about recognizing individuals that are achieving extraordinary accomplishments in the field of online education at an early stage in their careers. It's presented to individuals who have made significant contributions to online education. Nominees should be known for leadership activities, service to the profession, scholarly publications, and/or contributions to advancing the field. This year, we recognize Marley Perez, Director of Student Success at Oregon State University eCampus, for achieving extraordinary accomplishments in the field of online education. Dr. Perez sets high team expectations to serve a growing population of more than 10,000 adult online learners and improve student success initiatives. So congratulations to Marley. Let's go to our next award winner. For excellence in faculty development for online teaching, I'm so pleased to be able to recognize Jason Drysdale. This award recognizes outstanding and creative use of appropriate educational technologies to teach an online and/or blended course in higher education. Now, Jason, who's the Director of Instructional Design and Program Development at the University of Colorado, is being recognized for the development and delivery of Online Skills Mastery, a comprehensive program for faculty professional development in online teaching. OSM, I'm sorry. Awesome. I pronounced it wrong. I'm reading through this and I actually got that wrong. So I apologize, Jason. Awesome began as a course to help faculty move online during an LMS transition in 2014 and has since evolved far beyond its roots. Awesome will soon be extended to the entire University of Colorado system. And I bet it was this year. I bet it was. So congratulations, Jason. Our next winner, the award is for excellence and innovation in online teaching. It recognizes an OLC member and their institution for the development and delivery of an outstanding comprehensive program for faculty professional development in online teaching. Please join me in congratulating Sean Neufer, Director of Teaching and Learning, TCS Education System, for outstanding and creative use of appropriate educational technologies to teach an online course in higher education. Rather than trying to replicate components of a traditional learning environment, Dr. Neufer uses Canva, screencast, asynchronous collaborative assignments, and other digital tools to successfully break down silos and elevate student performance in an online environment. So congratulations, Sean. Next up, we have the Gomery-Miatis Leadership Award in Online Education. And this honors outstanding individuals who exemplify the leadership and ideals of Ralph Gomery and A. Frank Miatis. This award is presented to an individual who exemplifies transformative leadership in the online education community. Congratulations to Julie Golden Body, Executive Director for Online and Continuing Education at Florida Atlantic University, for exemplifying the transformative leadership and ideals of Ralph Gomery and Frank Miatis. Dr. Golden Body created and implemented online initiatives aimed at student and faculty success, including scaling the Center for Online and Continuing Education, constructing a successful and active continuing education subdivision, overseeing FAU's Osher Lifelong Learning Institutes, and more. Congratulations to Julie. I have to admit, I usually have a break on the stage between giving out awards when I get to shake hands, which gives me a little bit of time to recover before I do the next announcement. So I apologize when I start tripping over
I was going to say, we should have you pause so that everybody can turn their mics on.
I know, and cheer. We should. We're going to do a big cheer at the very end of these. How's that?
We should. That sounds great.
Okay. So our next award is going to it's for the John R. Bourne Outstanding Online Program Award, which recognizes an OLC member institution for outstanding online certificate, degree, or continuing education program with a proven record of excellence, as demonstrated by its success in providing expanded access, learning effectiveness, and high levels of student and faculty satisfaction in a cost-effective manner. So congratulations to Leslie Caceres, Program Coordinator, Associate Professor, Angelo State University, for an outstanding continuing education program with a proven record of excellence, as demonstrated by its success in providing expanded access, learning effectiveness, and high levels of student and faculty satisfaction in a cost-effective manner. To address the increasing shortage of school counselors and mental health professionals, ASU shifted its master's programs in educational counseling fully online and is now offering almost all course content at no charge to students. Congratulations. Okay, I've got one more I'm going to announce, and then I'm going to hand this over to Angela Gunder. So this award is the Leadership in Equity and Inclusion in Online Learning Award, and it honors leaders in the field of digital learning who exemplify leadership qualities and who contribute to the field through the adoption of innovative practices or a contribution of new research to the field focused on the principles of equity and inclusion. Please join me in congratulating Ellen Beatty, Chief Adult Instructional Services, Maryland Labor, for leading Maryland adult education programs in developing and creating online learning programming to promote student equity and inclusion. Dr. Beatty also incorporated research and evidence-based practices to ensure the effectiveness of these programs and related practices. So congratulations. And now I'm going to hand this off to Angela, who's going to hand out a few more awards before we get started on the fun part of the evening. All right,
Thank
Angela.
you, Jennifer. Although I think that this has been pretty fun so far, but I have the honor of presenting our next award, which is the Online Learning Journal Outstanding Research Achievement in Online Education Award. And this award recognizes an individual who has demonstrated extraordinary achievements in research in the field of online education. This highly selective award is an honor that an individual cannot seek. Rather, the individuals are selected by the OLC editorial board. So congratulations to Florence Martin, who is a professor in learning design and technology, program director of the Postmaster Certificate of University and College Teaching, and program coordinator of the EDD and Educational Leadership, Learning, Design, and Technology concentration at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, for extraordinary achievements in research in the field of online education that excel in rigor, prestige, and impact. All right. And I'd now like to recognize our OLC Effective Practice Awards winners. And the OLC Effective Practice Award recognizes successful efforts that help make quality online education accessible and affordable for anyone, anywhere, at any time, and provide an opportunity to recipients to share effective techniques, strategies, and practices in online education. So this year we have two winners. Our first Effective Practice Award goes to Angela Francis, who is Assistant Dean of General Education and first-year experience at the CUNY School of Professional Studies. Dr. Francis and CUNY SPS use a three-pronged approach to prepare students for enrollment in online courses by determining if online learning is right for them, and if so, providing tools to help them succeed. Congratulations, Angela. And our second OLC Effective Practice Award goes to recognize Kathleen Malago, Doctor of Musical Arts, Associate Professor of Musical Education at Slippery Rock University, for effective techniques, strategies, and practices to advance quality and access to online programs. Dr. Malago's virtual teaching partnership enhances music education majors' distance learning skills for future teaching positions by pairing them with 7th to 12th grade music students who benefit from the one-to-one instruction. So without any further ado, I would like, and I probably will never say this again for the rest of the conference, but if everybody wants to unmute and give a woohoo and a great applause to all of our winners, let's all celebrate these amazing, amazing award winners.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, everyone. So we decided that rather than having a traditional awards gala, which nothing could possibly be traditional in 2020, we thought that it would be interesting to actually engage all of our award winners in a little bit of time and reflection over what they're seeing along the landscape of online learning. So we're going to shift just a little bit to our series of questions that we're going to ask our award winners, who are now our illustrious panelists for this next section. I will definitely be monitoring the chat. So if we have time, we'll try to bring in questions that you may have as well. And I have a question saved for the group as well at the very end that I'd love to hear your answers to at some point if we have time tonight. So the first question is, what's one of the biggest lessons learned from 2020? And I'd first like to hear from Leslie.
Hello, good evening. I really think that one of the biggest lessons that we learned from 2020 is all about flexibility and adaptability. You know, we saw a lot of educational institutions at all levels, K-12 all the way up through graduate levels, just really shift from that face-to-face to online learning in a matter of days and weeks. We saw educators innovate in the ways that they were presenting their lessons. We saw students shift their mindsets and their routines. We've all had to adapt. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been necessarily fun, but everything that everyone had to do wasn't necessarily successful either, but we've all been able to do it, you know. And as a counselor educator, one of the qualities that I really try to stress is being flexible. So when in education, we never know what's going to happen from one day to the next, or what the next day is going to bring. Having that flexibility to adapt to our situations makes our profession really just able to overcome and progress to the next thing. So Educators have recognized this year the needs for that social emotional learning for students at all levels as well. And they've seen that need to reach out to students and families, make sure that all of their needs are being met. Food needs, technology needs, more. There's lots of things. Luckily, my program and the courses were already online, but kudos to everyone out there who moved online so quickly and got things rolling for their students. You're all rock stars. Congratulations to everybody that did that in such a short amount of time. But just that flexibility and adaptability, I think, is a huge lesson for 2020.
That's awesome, Leslie. Thank you. Florence, how about you next? What's one of the biggest lessons learned for you from 2020?
Thank you, Angela. So
Yes.
in 2020, we've learned that online learning works. Well-designed online learning works better. Not everyone is prepared for it, which shows that there is more work for us to do to prepare everyone for it, and also make sure everyone has the resources for it to be successful in it. There is also room for us to use research-based findings in designing and delivering online learning. And also there is a need for more research on online teaching and learning. I'm going to stop there.
That's fantastic. There were a couple of tweets in there that I hope somebody captured and put out there into the universe. Sean, how about you? Oh, Sean, I think you're muted. I was like, that's more quiet than I know, Sean. There we go.
The mute was on the microphone there. There's so many ways that you can mute yourself, and so I just gotta be aware.
That's a good lesson for 2020.
There's a lesson for 2020. You know, you get your microphones, make sure that everything's all set up. Good audio is important, you know, as you're doing online learning. That's not my lesson, but invest a little bit in a microphone that's okay. That's gonna go a long way. But I was saying that, you know, the year 2020 has probably been the longest decade of human civilization, I would say. And so many lessons learned. My award was on innovation and online learning. And I'm always looking for ways, how can I get my students out into the community? How can I engage with technology, ed tech? But really reflecting on this question, we need to back up quite a bit before you can get to innovation and technology and all that. Before you can get to steps 7, 8, 9, 10, 99, 100, you need to remember those first steps are good curriculum and pedagogy and a presence of a professor. And I feel like of all the feedback I've gotten this year from my students, the most valuable is that, you know, they need a professor who was there for them, who was kind, who was empathetic, who was participating, who was understanding. Like Leslie said, adaptability. I think that we've all had to adapt in some way or many ways or another, but really being there for the students. If you don't build that community, especially in online, but we can't exclude all modalities. If you don't build that community, then what is our product? You know, it's not knowledge, because people have access to the internet, to libraries, you know, knowledge is there, but without the community, we don't have much to add on. So really pulling people together, having students really work with other students and being there for your students and being a human being who's teaching a course is incredibly important. And I have great things to say about Coursera and edX and all of the great Khan Academies out there. But if you're a professor in a course, you need to be a professor. You need to be a human being and connect with those students. That's the first thing before you get to the innovation. Before you can add the bells and whistles, you got to get down to being there for your students.
Thank you so much, Sean. And I'm seeing a common thread being woven about the value add that we contribute through the humanization of the experiences that we're creating. So it's really beautiful to hear that articulated from our award winners. Kelvin, you're the last up to answer this question.
Thanks, Angela. Well, I will try to build on the emerging theme that you've just noted about our contributions. So one important lesson from this year, generally speaking, as well as in our field, is that expertise is important. Expertise in the field of online education is important. Another important lesson is that other-centeredness, putting others first and understanding their perspective empathetically, is crucial. However, at the risk of being meta, one of the biggest lessons for me personally is that these two factors, online expertise and other-centeredness, must be pursued at the same time. That is, we must not abandon our standards or our effective practices as online education professionals, but we must be open to learning from the experiences of others. Certainly learning from our students and their particular situations, and we've seen a lot of opportunities to do that this year, this last decade, as Sean says, over the last 8 months. Flower Darby mentioned in her keynote today that New York Times piece that contrasted the two students who were peers in the classroom, but very distinct in their home situations. So open to learning from the experiences of students, certainly, but also learning from the experience of new to online and perhaps even, dare I say, online naive faculty and administrators, and learning from other stakeholders, policymakers, the public. We must be open to adapting our perspectives and our practices while maintaining a high standard for online quality. And I'll close by saying I adopted a paraphrase from the longshoreman philosopher Eric Hoffer in my email signature line more than 22 years ago. I adopted it originally because online education professionals are change agents, and we should help traditionalists adapt. I keep the paraphrase, though, because we, as online education professionals, must not become the traditionalist. We must not become the status quo ourselves. So here it is. Here's the paraphrase. In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists.
Thank you, Kelvin. I just wanted to let us sit with that for a second. We're going to pivot. Oh, I hate using that word. We're going to transition to another question for our panelists. And maybe that was a good time for me to use a verboten word like pivot. What's something you expect to continue to see in 2021 that should have ended by now, like the use of the word pivot? And I'm going to have Jason Record open us up.
Well, first off, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Wonderful. So, well, I guess I was going to introduce, really a potential challenge, and I couldn't think of a better group to kind of talk with us about. And I hope that I'm wrong. But one of the things that I think that might still remain in 2021 that really should not is the historical stigma around the efficacy of online education. And the reason why I believe it might continue or even possibly be elevated is due to the use of the remote learning and the remote instruction that we had this year, because all of the historical concerns really regarding online education should have ended by now. They should have been many years ago, in fact. But, as we all know, having to pivot, and again, not wanting to use that word too often, but to remote instruction was an absolute necessity by every institution that none of us could have anticipated. And, in my opinion, the faculty, staff, and the institution should be highly celebrated, for moving to remote instruction in a matter of days and sometimes weeks for the institutions. And it was a Herculean effort. And I think if you would have asked us all prior to COVID, would it even be possible to bring an entire institution online that quickly? I think we would have all said that our administration or whomever has lost their minds. But unfortunately for students and parents and even some educators that don't know the clear differences between remote instruction and true online education, they see them as the same. And they may be basing their future thoughts and their future enrollment on experiences they've had in K-12 or even in higher education this spring. And so you're starting to see a lot of surveys that are coming out right now that are talking about, folks' dissatisfaction with remote learning You've seen a lot of the articles where people are requesting refunds or wanting to take a gap year, due to the challenges with remote instruction. So I think it's just something that us as online education leaders need to be cognizant of, even though I would hope it would have been eliminated by now. And then just to capitalize on what some of my colleagues are saying, on the flip side of this, there's so many advantages I think we've learned due to what's happened this year. You have traditional faculty now that are no longer scared to teach online, and they're engaging in discussions of how they can use technology in their face-to-face courses. You have online faculty elevating things that we probably never thought were possible, before. And you even have technology vendors that are jumping in to assist more than ever that I've ever seen in my career in online education. So really, in short, I think if we can eliminate any negative perceptions due to remote learning, I believe we gained some valuable insight this year, even though it was challenging.
Thank you so much for that, Jason. And I'm following on with the chat as well. These provocations have been great. And I'm sure there's a lot of richness here that we can mine after this conversation and share out within and beyond our community. I'd love to have Julie go next. Julie, what's something that you'd expect to continue to see in 2021 that should have ended by now?
Thanks, Angela. Wow, great remarks so far from my colleagues. We all saw online thrust into the spotlight this year, but what I expect to see continue in 2021, at least I hope, is interest. So interest, I think, is growing and not slowing in online learning. Here's what I see at my institution: interest in our discipline, finally. COVID remote experiences, it just completely changed the narrative entirely. I see this blossoming but earnest interest in online learning from even our most resistant. I see interest in quality, interest in exploring what makes good online experiences, interest in professional development from faculty, interest in exploring outcomes and data related to online learning, interest in trying new technologies from those who would never have been interested before, interest in thinking through the components of student engagement, interest in access, in accessibility, in equity, in inclusion in the online environment. These are conversations that didn't exist before at my institution anyway, to any great amount. One of the most relevant, I think, to responding to this emergency situation is the interest from faculty in online communities of practice, for contributing ideas, for sharing resources, and perhaps most wonderful of all, interest or willingness to create this ethos of trust and vulnerability around technology that I've just not seen in this scale previously. This interest is growing. We didn't just survive 2020 through distance learning, we are thriving. I think the distance learning little engine that could has climbed a really steep hill of acceptance and is very much a part of the mainstream conversations about resilience, about future-proofing in higher education institutes and school systems throughout the country. Sometimes I have to remind myself that for those of us who've been tooting the online learning horn for years, these conversations about LMSs, about web conferencing tools, about online proctoring, they seem old hat to me sometimes, but in reality, this is a fresh journey for the majority of educators. It's exciting, I think, to be in a position to facilitate an inclusive atmosphere that honors everyone as a contributor, regardless of their experience with online learning. In fact, I find that sometimes the questions from the novice, kind of free from the boundaries of what can and can't be done or what hasn't been done before, those are sometimes the sparks that ignite innovation or collaboration. I'm just really delighted to see the interest. These things that ignite a sustained and growing interest in what's next for online learning. So for those reasons, I'm going to say continuing and growing interest in finding out how online learning is an enduring solution post-COVID, lasting through 2021 and beyond. That's my hope.
I love your use of the word enduring, and I hope that too. I know that many of us, I see nods, I see Kelvin nodding, that many of us share that same sentiment. Jason Drysdale, how about you? What's your answer to this question?
Sure. So I'll start by saying I am by nature a person who focuses more on opportunities than obstacles. So read my interpret my answer through that specific lens. There are a lot of things that I could have focused on here. The thing that stood out to me was technology-driven decision making as something that's still around that probably should either get less common or go away. There are a lot of good reasons why we and why our organizations allow technology to drive decision making, affordability, convenience, innovation, lots of different good reasons. But it's far too common for those elements to supersede the core reasons behind our work. Pedagogy is a good example. We heard about it some this morning in Flower's wonderful keynote. Technology, as sort of a metaphor here, technology is the chassis, but human connection, relationships, caring, trust, those are the things, those are the engine. Those are the things that drive what we do. A lot of institutions don't really operate that way. And it has a lot of repercussions, one of which very close to my work is role misperception. Instructional designers being perceived primarily as technology professionals rather than teaching and learning professionals. This makes sense when we lead with the tools that we're using. We have Canvas courses and Zoom classes instead of learning experiences. So some of those things I think are a natural output of the way that we talk about our profession and the way that we make decisions about our profession and about our work. Another output of this result is the structures that we have, the organizational structures that are centered around things like security and convenience for technology tools, which are very important, not discounting that, but which supersede things like a mission-oriented perspective and empathy and compassion as the cornerstones of our decisions around working with students. So to me, that decision-making is very often backwards. We're putting technology as the thing rather than our mission, our teaching and learning work as the thing that technology is an output of. It's not the backwards design we want. So I would say that's the kind of one of the things that I'm hoping we can start working through together. And I know many of you are already working on that in your institutions. I am too. I'm just hopeful that in 2021, that's the year where we really accelerate and push forward on that change.
Thank you so much. This has been phenomenal. I'm watching the clock and I'm getting sad because I know we're getting to the end of these questions, and I just want to live in this space of this abundance of riches that we're hearing from all of our award winners. But here's our last question for our panel. What's one thing an institution or community can do to better support our educators and learners in the advancement of quality online? And I would add digital and blended learning to that as well. And I will turn this question over to Angela first.
Thank you, fellow Angela.
Yes.
So my short answer is probably too big of a thing, and it's to be more mindful about how we build and maintain our communities and how we welcome people into it. And I think that that's a very orientation-y answer from someone who works in orientation, but I also think that we are often talking about community like it's something that happens automatically. It just kind of springs up when you have a group of people together, and that's not the case. And if I needed to be more concrete, I would name two particular qualities. The first would be to really think more about how we integrate data into the decisions that we make in terms of grouping, shaping communities and the principles that guide our communities. And I was actually really inspired by last year's OLC Accelerate keynote by Talithia Williams, because she spoke about how she was teaching in a math department and that department was able to really leverage a relationship it had with the Office of Institutional Research to not only learn the answers to some of their questions, but also discover questions that they should have been asking and weren't. And by learning about those questions and the answers to them, they were able to really include, in this case, it was women, and increase their success in their math courses. I am not a mathematician. My degrees are all in English. So for me, working with IR is extra important. And related to this, I would say that the second really important
trait of building community deliberately is to work hard to develop those genuine collaborative relationships across the institution and not wait until you need someone's help. So that can be faculty with administrators, with staff, or it can be different offices. But I think that we sometimes gesture toward doing this work without actually expending all of the effort, because it is a lot of work and we are all very busy. But it's clear when the different parts of your institution or the different parts of your department aren't working well together. And I would just say that, being deliberate about how we use data and how we connect across the institution to build these communities, it's important because it means that we all know where we're going, why we're going there. And I want to quote our Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, Jennifer Sparrow, who is here, because she tends to say it's important that people know they're not going somewhere alone. They're not going it alone. So orientation in my case is not really my project or even my unit's project. It's viewed as the community's project. And people who are teaching, professors, they are not stuck alone to understand content, pedagogy, technology, all at a masterful level. There are resources available and they don't feel a sense of shame to reach out. So, I think that's important in the best of years. 2020 was not the best of years. And particularly if you're dealing with online or asynchronous, to really be deliberate with how we build our communities is super important.
So fantastic. Thank you. I have the pleasure of turning the mic over to Ellen now.
Thank you, Angela.
Yes.
So fear of the unknown is one of the most fundamental human fears. And I think we can all agree that 2020 has been the year of the unknown, the year of uncertainty. When will we have a vaccine? How long will these lockdowns take? How many more masks do I need to buy? So the unknown is uncomfortable. Uncertainty is uncomfortable, and it brings stress. And in normal situations, our bodies are well equipped to deal with stress. But the prolonged chronic stress that a year like 2020 brings diminishes our attention, diminishes our focus, and is detrimental to learning, our ability to form new memories, and our ability to recall those memories. So if I was going to offer one thing to support our learners and our educators, it would be tools to manage this uncertainty and to keep this stress at manageable levels. So I'm going to share 3 super fast suggestions. The first is to control what you can control. This helps to remove helplessness, and it refocuses us on positivity. Number 2, to set a daily schedule with routines and habits. Schedules have been shown to reduce anxiety, and high emotions often lead us to poor decisions. So if we can allow our routines and our habits to carry us through hard times, we are better set to make good decisions. Number 3, finally, set small-term goals. Let go of those long-term goals because it just reinforces the uncertainty that's around us. Short-term goals allow us to regain our focus. So focus on small, doable actions, which circles us back to number 1, control what you can control. So regardless of the educational setting, regardless of the level of learner that you focus on, we must focus on acknowledging the fear that accompanies uncertainty. So let's offer the tools to manage that uncertainty, to manage that stress, so that we have a fighting chance to maximize learning.
Thank you so much for that, Ellen. So appreciate it. I'm going to turn the mic over to Marley now.
Great, thanks. Great question, and so difficult to decide on one. It's hard, right? We're seeing educators and learners alike struggle right now, and there's a lot that contributes to that. But if I have to choose one, I really think we need to continue striving to engage our learners in new ways, both in and outside of the online classroom. We know that sense of belonging is correlated with strong intentions to persist, and that our online students do experience belonging to the institution. It just tends to look a little bit different than our on-campus traditionally aged counterparts. In terms of supporting educators, so much of an online student's belonging is tied to communication and relationship building with instructors or faculty, and that's done in classes. When assignments are graded on time and instructors respond to emails as expected, or when the student feels that the faculty really understands who they are as an adult and online learner and honors the things that they're juggling in their life, sense of belonging is increased, right? I think it was Sean that hit the nail on the head earlier. Instructors being present and being human really contributes to belonging in a unique way that the rest of us that are working to support students can't necessarily do. I think giving faculty the space to dedicate the time needed to really effectively manage their online courses is a start, whether that's providing a structure for faculty assignments that realistically represent the time it takes to provide that kind of quality online learning experience or some other solution. I think we have to start with faculty and really honoring their commitment to online learning. I think in terms of supporting learners, I've found that online students really want to engage with the university community. This certainly varies, but we found that many of our online students across the nation and across the world want to participate in alumni events and field courses and study abroad programs, which is new, or really any other opportunities to visit our campus and try to start to build a connection to the university. I encourage folks to work with units across your campus to brainstorm how online students might be included in existing programs. I think a lot of us have found that our partners across campuses who initially thought they couldn't offer certain services, either virtually or remote, have now, because of COVID, figured out that they can succeed in bringing those services to our students at a distance. It's really elicited a new level of creativity among those that really tend to mostly serve on-campus students. So I think in closing, whether you're supporting educators or learners, the student experience is key. And really, I think that any effort that reiterates to our learners that they matter, that they belong, and that we understand what they need and who they are and what they're going up against every day will go a long way, both in terms of providing quality online learning experiences, but also in student satisfaction and inevitably student success.
It was wonderful, Marley, and I'm a little bit sad to turn this last question over to our last award winner, Kathleen.
Thank you. So, of course, there are many things, as everyone said, and Marley actually kind of led into what I was going to say really nicely. So I teach in a primarily, we used to be known as the premier residential institution. So we are in our state. And so I coordinate the music education program there. So if you can imagine, our experiences with online learning were quite limited. And so I taught the majority of my classes in person in the classroom. And we had to change, pivot quite rapidly in the spring. But I think that what I would say one thing an institution or community can do is to be open and positive about what we get to do in this online setting, not about what we're missing. And that's big in music because, as you can imagine, our ensembles don't look the same. We are not gathering all together shoulder to shoulder playing our instruments, but there are a lot of things that we get to do that we never would be able to before. So this is my 12th year in my position here at Slippery Rock as the division head for music education. I've had the opportunity to rethink the course design for all of my courses, and that's given me the opportunity to think about everything that I do, and even to think, what do we need to do synchronously, and where can I give the students some flexibility with asynchronous opportunities? The second thing that I think is actually something I get to do, and something that's even better, is showing things up close. So when I'm talking to the students about the oboe reed, and I want to show them what the opening of an oboe reed looks like, I can put it right here. When I'm showing them, and it doesn't work as well with a Zoom background, but when I'm showing them how to assemble an instrument, I can set it right there, and I can show things that I could never show at that level of detail that quickly before. That used to involve walking around student to student, showing this to every individual person's eyes, when I can reach the whole class all at one time. The third thing is, my first two classes on Mondays and Wednesdays are woodwind methods and then clarinet and saxophone methods. And so this is for music education majors who don't play these instruments as their primary instruments. So as you can imagine, it's kind of like cleaning your house. It gets worse before it gets better sometimes. And sometimes I'm working with a student and, there's some woe going on there. And we'll talk through some things that student can try, and the student's trying some of the things. It's been amazing to be able to let that student go on mute, work through practicing with whatever we're talking about, and then come back on and show us what they did. And that's really awkward in the classroom. You can't mute somebody if you're all in the room together. And so somebody's sitting there squawking or whatever as they try to get used to the voicing on a clarinet. And that involves a lot of vulnerability and a lot of class time, quite frankly, when this setting allows us to just pause and give that person the personal space that they need to be able to make their improvements. And the final point that I want to make about something that's just tremendous that we get to do because of COVID is we're located in Pennsylvania, about an hour north of Pittsburgh, and we always place our field experience students and our student teachers within an hour's drive for them. Well, this year we have field students in North Carolina, we have field students in Texas, because geography is no longer a concern. So I can find a wonderful teacher somewhere, some of our alumni who've never had the opportunity to mentor our pre-service music educators, and they're able to do that now. So what I would say the community can do, the institution and the community at large, is just not look at this as like everything that we're losing by not getting to do what we've always done, but instead look at the things we're gaining, what we get to do by this opportunity that's presented itself to us, and that's going to change education forever.
Yeah, everybody, can we just pause and give a round of applause to not only Kathleen, but to all of our award winners for their profound generosity with their answers to these questions. I feel like we've covered so much territory that with this recording, we could give this to people as a masterclass for not only what is possible, but what we believe in and why we dedicate our time in service to students through online, blended, and digital learning. So kudos and my thanks to all of you. I now have the honor of opening up the floor. We have one last question, and this is for everybody in the room. So if you've been feeling itchy to get on the mic, you're more than welcome to share your thoughts. Let's talk about that opportunity that's in front of us, sort of a segue from what Kathleen was talking about. What's a new trend that we hope to see in 2021? And feel free if you want to unmute and share, and certainly panelists, if you want to answer this question, please do. But also, if you'd like to add your thoughts in the chat, you can do so as well. Tanya Means has said more flexibility for different needs. Karen Swan says science. I think my vote would be everything that was said just now for all of us to live in that space. Kate Jardal says expanded and persistent kindness. My one of my leadership mentors, who's a provost now at San Jose State University, told his cabinet at one point, "Our policy is kindness," and that was amazing to hear a provost say that to a group. More care and compassion for ourselves and for others. Yep, patience. More respect for teachers. Greater and wider recognition of inclusivity. Bridge that technology gap. All of the gaps. There's a lot of them. Investment in faculty and instruction for pedagogy and tech, and research on blended and online learning. Who's doing research on blended and online learning? Awesome. Well, please feel free to keep these comments going. Any closing thoughts from anybody? I'll open up the floor. Anybody want to carry us out? I might pick on Mary Nemec and Jennifer Mathis as well to maybe share some closing thoughts.
Hi, Angela.
Hi. Hello, my friend.
So one of the things I want to say is this is probably one of the best award ceremonies that we've had. Yeah. The fact that we are able to take our awardees and those we recognize and hear from you directly. I absolutely love this format, and I hope we do this all the time now. You all are so amazing, and being able to do something like this lets everybody know why you were recognized. So thank you very much. A new trend for 2021, everything everybody has said. I will, one of the things that I think we need to learn to listen more to each other, because I think that, sometimes we get so entrenched in what we know is right that we forget to listen. And I think that is creating multiple problems right now. So my last thoughts are, I am so glad to be part of OLC, and so glad to see all of you who are sharing your wealth of information, your expertise with folks who are trying to figure this out. So Jennifer, anything for you?
You know what I would say? Well, first of all, I echo your sentiments in that I've really enjoyed this session tonight, and it's.
Oh, Jennifer, you went on mute.
I'm back.
There you go.
Oh, wait, there's more. It's always great when we get to hear from the award winners. I mean, you won for a reason. And so sharing your insights definitely was wonderful to hear. I'm hoping that some of the people who are on this call who maybe didn't win an award tonight will consider applying for next year. These are definitely awards that we are able to give to various individuals. I mentioned as I was going through those some of the criteria, and there are so many great people in the world that we'd love to see more individuals apply and be honored by OLC. So do consider this next year. One of the things that I want to say, and this was kind of said earlier in terms of what's a new trend I hope to see in 2021, this year has been phenomenal in terms of seeing institutions put money into professional development to support their faculty and staff as they made that switch to remote learning. And that was amazing. And that was something that I was so excited to see, because we know that when there's education and professional development to support our faculty before they go teach in an online environment, that the faculty are going to have a better experience and the students are going to have a better experience. So that's a big win. I know it didn't happen everywhere, but it's something where I hope that it becomes even more of a trend, and we see more of this as we move beyond the pandemic and start engaging face-to-face together again. I hope that we don't lose sight of the fact that we still need to do that professional development, because we still need to support our faculty and staff, because online learning, it's definitely here to stay. It's definitely going to be something that we're going to pivot to in the future. And when something else happens, and so we want to make sure we do it all in the best way possible, and we want to make it easier for institutions. If they've got that training and they've got everything in place, when they have to make that transition, life's a lot easier when you've already got the training. So thank you to all who participated tonight. This was absolutely fabulous.
Agreed. And I'll just close this out by, expressing thanks to all of the folks that helped make this possible, including Karen Swan, who led the awards committee within the board, and all of the board of directors for the OLC who contributed to this, and the many members of the staff who took the challenge of us not being together in Orlando as an opportunity for us to find new ways to connect and to celebrate the amazing work of our community. So once again, if you could unmute and give a huge round of applause to all of our winners. Woo!
Yay! Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And for those who aren't, since we can't be in Disney tonight, I've got the castle behind me. So does Angela.
This way.
We're still celebrating. We're celebrating. We'll pretend like we're there.
That's right. It's clear that we'll have to do this again. Once Mary says it, it has to be. So it shall be that we'll do this again. But next time, I promise you, we'll get our sound effects together. We might have to tap Clark Shaw Nelson to help us with celebratory sound effects for the next time. Well, that is it for us for this evening. If you want to share the love that was this session, please, please, please go ahead and complete a session evaluation that gives us great feedback on how we can expand and grow in the future. Nate Angel is also in the room. We are looking to have a very different feel for OLC Live this year, where we actually bring in speakers in real time for a conversation with OLC Live. So if somebody was particularly compelling tonight that you heard, perhaps all of our award winners, and you would like to nominate them to conduct a special interview with OLC Live, the link is in the chat. Thank you, Christine. You are going to absolutely want to watch back this session and share with others. We're live streaming this out right now, but in addition to this session, all of our OLC Accelerate presentations will be available in the conference venues, usually in about 24 hours, and you'll be able to access all of those recordings back for 1 year post-conference. And then last but not least, we definitely have to keep the momentum going. We have OLC Innovate coming up in March, and that will be primarily virtual. And then we have OLC Accelerate with that call for proposals opening very soon. I heard a lot of provocations tonight that definitely should become sessions for that. So keep that in mind, and we'll be celebrating in my hometown, Washington, D.C. In October of 2021, as well as virtually if you choose to join us that way. And last but not least, two key highlights. One, that the applications are open for our illustrious Institute for Emerging Leadership and Online Learning. Many alums here tonight joining us for this. So if you are interested in the Institute or have a colleague that might be, just know that now is the time to apply for our next group. And then last but not least, OLC Ideate, which is focused on a topic that we did touch on quite a bit this evening on diversity, equity, and inclusion, will be happening in December. This is a completely free event and open to the community. Maddie is putting a notation in the chat about what happens next, because we've had a lot of questions about that. And this event is being sponsored by Every Learner Everywhere. So we're really excited to engage at that at the end of the year. So without any further ado, I release all of you to your evening, maybe to your morning. I don't know what time you're attending or watching this back, but once again, just a huge thanks to all of our amazing 2020 OLC award winners for their accomplishments and for their generosity tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.